And I love seeing the Digimon in disguises again. You know, it's just that kind of corniness that's right out of the original series. And my heart got so happy at seeing Gatomon and Biomon pretending to be real animals, like a real cat and a real bird. That was so cute. It was so adorable, and so precious. So the other thing that concerns me about this virtual space that Izzy has come up with is how long it's going to be safe before some kind of evil Digimon hacks into it and things start getting crazy. Maybe Alphamon figures out how to use it, or his lackeys figure out how to use it. There was that other Digimon that was introduced during the battle that we kind of only saw glimpses of. Looked to be like a rookie size or whatever. So I'm sure that is going to become an issue further down the line. But for now, I really like that kind of safe box, I guess. A very cool idea, and I like how they put it into play. One of the things that I really did like about this movie was addressing the damage that the Digimon do in the real world when they fight. And it's something that wasn't quite addressed in the original series. Like, you see a lot of real world damage, and you see the adults getting involved in a very real and believable way. It's one of the things I always loved about the show, that the adults were not treated as stupid or useless. A lot of them helped their kids, and I guess one of the reasons we don't see the damage being an issue is that it was such a high stakes battle with Myotismon, and the humans were desperate at that point, so any kind of collateral damage was almost expected, and then the kids had to go back into the digital world, so we really didn't have time to see the fallout. But here, the kids have all had time to adjust to normal life, and now suddenly seeing Digimon come in again and destroy buildings and put people in danger is hard for them to see. So I really do like that they addressed that, and when Kuwagamon first appears in the city and starts directly attacking Tai, not even attacking the surrounding area while Tai's watching. No, he zoomed in and bam, right on target onto Tai. And I felt like that it made the stakes very high immediately, but it also created a sense of danger that I never really got from the original series. Obviously the danger was high even in Adventure, but I don't know if it was just the snappier pacing of Try or the better animation, but there were a lot of near misses or times when I thought Tai is a goner. And of course the reunion between Tai and Agumon was so sweet, and I loved it. But something is bothering me about Tai, and it's this sudden PTSD that he's getting from seeing the damage that the Digimon battles are causing, and it's I thought they flashed back to those damage shots way too much. But again, it's not in Tai's nature to become paralyzed by doubt. We saw it so many times in the original series when things were their toughest. He was the one who charged into battle without thinking. And, in the case of conflict between Tai and Matt's always the one who's saying, hold up, let's take a step back and think about this for a second. And Tai is like, no, there's no time. We have to charge into battle and beat this bad guy. And, he's the gung-ho and the fiery leader and the stubborn one. So, I don't know. It didn't sit right with me. Especially in the end when Matt was the one who was saying, come on, do it. You gotta do something or you're running away. Matt is the one who runs away, not Tai. Then again, it was that sweet moment again where they lock arms before the battle, and oh my gosh, I loved that callback to Adventure, seeing Matt and Tai, that shot of them holding hands right before the Mega Evolution. I loved it. By the way, speaking of shipping, there's a lot of stuff going on between Matt and Tai, isn't there? So that bothers me just a little bit, although I can definitely see them sowing the seeds of Tai wanting to become a diplomat, because he's, first of all, he hasn't turned in his career assessment. He doesn't know what he wants to do in his life, and the only thing he can think of when his teacher asks him, what's more important to you, the only thing he can think of to say is, my friends who aren't with me anymore. And, there's that shot with the Digivice that broke all of our hearts. So, in the one sense, I do kind of appreciate that Tai is obviously very concerned with the damage to the real world. It is building up this kind of sense of explaining how he gets into politics, and I guess I do understand where Tai would want to be the one to ensure that relations between the digital world and the real world went smoothly. I think he has the most invested in that kind of issue. If we're talking about careers in the 02 epilogue. So I appreciate them, laying the groundwork for that. Characters like Joe and Izzy, becoming a digital world doctor, a digital world researcher, those are foregone conclusions. They don't need to do any kind of build up to that. But speaking of Joe, and this was a point that I really, really wanted to get to, he's one of my favorite characters, if not, my favorite character from the original series, and it broke my heart to see what's happening to him in this story. To see him struggling so hard with his med school and, working as hard as he is and still falling behind, and he's the only one not to show up to the battle in the end. I was a little unclear about how it happened, like, did he, when all those suits were coming to collect the Digidestin, did he wave them off? Or, like, I don't quite understand how he got out of that, but it was really hard not to see him there. And it was hard to see what they were doing with him, but it makes sense for his character, and it makes sense for him being so serious and so conflicted. And also the oldest of the kids, there's a lot of potential for drama and angst in him being the oldest kid and thus the most far removed from the fantasy. Even in the original series, he was the one who distanced himself most from the fantastical aspects of the digital world. And that moment where Gomamon actually finds Joe and, he says, "I'm back," and Joe clings to him. Like, I saw someone, post on Tumblr, like, you can't tell me that Joe doesn't need Gomamon more than ever. And that's so true. That is exactly the sentiment I got from watching Joe hug Gomamon the way that he did. Seeing that actually got me the most excited for a new story. It makes so much sense for the character. There's a lot of great story potential in there, and I really hope they've laid the groundwork now, and I really hope they give us just a delectable storyline from Joe and Gomamon. Two of my favorite characters, and if they do it right, there's going to be a great story there. On the subject of characters, I guess I'll briefly mention the new girl, whose name I have completely blanked on. She seems a tad Mary Sue-ish, and I hate to say that, because I think that phrase is outdated, but I mean that in the sense of, like, okay, we don't know that much about her yet, but she does seem a bit of an audience surrogate character. Like, this is me and my Digimon kind of deal, and I really hope that they're able to flesh out her character and make her someone who really seems like her own person, and not just someone that the audience can live vicariously through. There were things that made me warm up to her, and one of the ones was that kind of nod that she gave to Tai when she first saw him, like this show of respect. Like, she obviously knows who he is and is respecting him from a distance, and maybe that is a little OC-ish, but it just it was such a sweet moment, and knowing that who she would become, it was even sweeter. But my girlfriend and I kept looking at each other because, like, oh my gosh, she is so Homura. She's got the glasses and the dark hair, and even her outfit kind of looks like Homura's, and she's got this shy attitude, and she's like, oh, she's a new transfer student, and don't look at me, and she's got this weird sneezing quirk. I even said at one point, every time she sneezes, she stops time, and my girlfriend was like, no. But I'm really hoping for good things from her character, and I like that the old kids were like immediately accepting of her, like, oh my gosh, our team is getting bigger, yay, and like that was fun and nice. I have to confess, her Digimon sold me immediately when I realized it was a cat. I am so easy to please, and oh, it's a kitty. The new Digimon is a kitty. Okay, I'm all sold. The only thing that bothers me about, like, okay, I guess not the only thing, but the eyes are really unsettling. The Meikumon, I think is her name, which is totally Maine Coon Mon, but her design is a little OC-ish. She looks like someone's fan Digimon, and I guess the joke with Digimon has always been that they're over-designed, and to a point I would agree with that. Especially when the show was a lot cheaper, the over design elements really got in the way of the animation. But Meiku, her design isn't the worst, but it's a little much. And what really throws me off are those eyes. Those are the worst eyes I've ever seen on an animated character. They're awful. They look so amateur. And unless they do something really spectacular with that weird diamond shape, it's going to be unsettling with me. So I'm hoping that the new girl gets a lot more personality, and I'm also hoping that Meikumon gets a lot more personality, because of course I love the fact that she's a cat, but my favorite Digimon are also the ones who have a lot of personality, so I'm definitely hoping for that. I guess the one last thing I would touch on is the 02 kids. Man, this is the best kept secret of the Tri-Universe. Nowhere in the promotional material did we see images of the older kids. And now we know why. They are lost in time or something. They lost a battle against Alphamon when they were still 02 age, and they were stuck somewhere in the digital world. I guess it's hard for me to see the Adventure Kids going about their business with no mention of their friends who are missing and or possibly dead. The fact that it never came up even once, it just really bothers me. I guess the only thing that made it a little better was that one shot of Tai on his bike looking wistfully out over the river. I guess it came like right after we get those shots of the 02 kids falling. So it could be interpreted as him missing the Digimon, or it could be interpreted as him missing his friends who have been lost. It's hard for me to think, like, there was a lot going on in this movie, and of course the focus was on the reunion of the kids with their Digimon, but I'm thinking about what are the parents and the families thinking of the kids who have been missing for all these years, and how has it affected the relationships of especially TK and Kari, who supposedly had these great bonds with the new kids, and maybe it's just a case of it's been so many years that they've kind of had to mourn and move on. But I don't know. I just would have liked a little bit more of an acknowledgement of the older kids that some of their team was missing. That was one of the things that frustrated me the most, was that we didn't even get a hint of what has happened to the 02 kids, or what is going to happen. They better explain what happened and what is going to happen, and they better find a way to work them into their ultimate, conclusion, because I really want to see, I think when I originally posted my reaction, I said I'd love to see them just like reboot the 02 epilogue and write something even better, but no, I don't want that anymore. I think what I really want is a believable working up to that epilogue, and I don't understand how they could do that if the 02 kids are stuck in stasis for the duration of Try. I want them to get out of stasis so they can start building towards the 02 epilogue stuff, believably. But, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens with them. One of my girlfriend's friends actually brought up an interesting point about there being a possibility. And the more I thought about this, I really like this. She said, perhaps that time in the digital world has slowed down quite a bit. And she pointed to the fact that the battle between Quagamon and Greymon took place. It started in the afternoon and went way into the night, which is very interesting, and it would also explain why the 02 kids have been stuck in the digital world for so long without aging. And I think that would be a great explanation, first of all, and also a nice little reversal of what we saw in Adventure, which was that time in the digital world was much faster, and months in the digital world was like a second in the real world. So that was, especially with like this whole yin and yang thing they've got going on with Alphamon and Omegamon, which, by the way, there's a lot of potential there, isn't there, for Alphamon and Omegamon to be like at odds with each other in this really like cosmic way, and I hope they make the most of that connection there. So yeah, those are my thoughts. To recap, I guess the biggest things I'm hoping for going forward are the new girl and her partner getting way more personality and screen time, an explanation for the 02 kids, and hopefully integrating them into the storyline soon. I want to see Ikakumon. I would love to see, I don't know if they're going to do this, but I would love to see the Ultimates. Someone theorized that there was going to be a Jogress evolution between the original Digidestined, and that's how we were going to see more Mega evolutions, and I don't know what to think of that, but I'd love to see it. I'm also hoping for a believable build-up to the 02 epilogue and the integration of Digimon into the real world, and a beautiful, beautiful storyline for Joe and Gomamon. So thank you for letting me ramble about this first installment of Try. So excited. I absolutely loved it. I had a wonderful time watching it. I am really shocked that we got it here in America on the same day that it was released in Japan. I was not expecting it to happen, but I'm very, very happy about it. I can't wait to see more of the story. Let me know what you thought of it. Let me know what you're hoping to see moving forward. I think the next one comes out in December already, or December or January or something like that. So I will see you then. And so thank you again for watching, and take care.